Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Nadex Morning Analysis, where we break down and take a look at potential hotspots in the markets for the day. It is Monday, May 24th. My name is Todd Rich. I am with Nadex. With me from Keep Trading Simple, Brian Caprice. Before Brian and I jump into it, let me do a quick disclaimer that trading involves risk and might not be appropriate for everyone, that any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your education purposes. All right, so good morning, everyone. And what are we going to be talking about today? I mean, Brian and I were just kind of going through what are some of the hot spots in the markets. I think we're definitely going to take a look at crude oil. Crude's making a move this morning. So definitely something to be discussed. We'll also take a peek at an indice. I think we're going to look at the S&P 500. We like to cover the indices because we've got thousands of new customers, and a lot of them are trading the equity indices. And then we might just talk a little bit about cryptocurrency, the U.S. dollar, and gold. I don't know. We'll see what kind of time we've got there at the end. I'm actually, you know what? Let me flip this over, Brian. I'm gonna let you go. What do you want to cover first? Do you want to cover the S&P 500 first? Do you want to cover oil first? Whichever you prefer.
Oh yeah, I had it up here from before. I just had the dollar up here. So yeah, so Monday
And the
morning.
dollar.
Yeah, I mean Monday morning. There's not a lot of movement in the currencies. A little bit of movement in the euro is about the only thing that's moving. Everything else is more or less flat. No major economic news releases today, so there's not really a whole lot we can do with that. The overnight news that we heard, basically Moscow is putting together agenda for a potential, I guess nothing planned right now with Biden and Putin. Again, kind of makes sense there. Japan is having major issues. A new round of coronavirus infections are basically crippling their health sector, right, in Osaka, which is crazy because you're not really hearing that anywhere else right now, but they're running out of beds and ventilators. China has basically pledged zero tolerance. So again, it's kind of against commodity futures violations. So they're kind of stepping it up as well. And then the only news really that's really going to affect much of the market today is this U.S. core inflation to cool in the second half in a survey. And, they were talking about real growth being 6.7% in 2021, again, making up for last year's drop. And talking about the core inflation, basically removing food and energy. And again, we know that food and energy has been a problem. Again, going into the service industry, not having workers, not having plant people, so plant workers. So food has obviously been much, much higher. And again, talking core inflation is great, but if you think about it, what do most households spend the most money on? Is it clothes every month, or is it food and gasoline? So again, the core number is nice, and they said they're expecting it to cool down to 2.1 versus it being 2.6. So, it is still higher. And again, remember, this is minus food and energy. So we're talking higher inflation than what typically is the kind of goal. Remember, it's 2% overall inflation is what the Fed's mandate kind of really is, to be around the 2% figure. But a lot of that comes from food and energy. When you're seeing food and energy at 2.1 and 2.6, real inflation is much, much higher than that. So again, we can't, we're not going to give up our cars, and we got to keep eating. So those are some things.
And if people remember, the last inflation number, it was the numbers were blown out, but it was heavily tilted toward two things. It was oil, energy, and it was used cars.
Yeah, automobiles, and that wasn't including food. And they're seeing it in food also. That was another one of the sectors that was creeping up as well. So, and that's how it goes. It's one sector, then it's another sector, then it's another sector, then it's another sector, and they all start to kind of go in the same, area. And you're always trying to. It's like the question is, how do you snipe which ones first in recovery? So that's what we're saying. But this is the dollar index.
And by the way, just one more thing on that. I just saw it. The next thing coming is going to be, we're already seeing a bit in the real estate market. That's actually, I think they're saying it's going to even get worse.
Oh, we're already seeing it here, yeah.
Yeah, and that's not even included in those numbers, unless they look at rent. But home prices are just going through the roof.
Yeah, so. There's no inventory. And it's kind of one of those things, it's the used market is very interesting. There's just not homes for sale, and builders are having issues right now because builders cannot get lumber and things like that because it's a lot more money. So to buy a new home right now is it's cheaper to buy the land. It used to be the land was really, really expensive and it was cheap to build. Now it's kind of switching back to where it's, the material costs are so high. And again, that goes directly down to seeing, inflationary numbers. And, if we stay in this interest rate environment, that's the type of inflation we're going to see, and it's going to start running. So
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
here's the dollar. I just want to show the dollar. Um, you know, drawing, and again, we're not really trading the dollar, but this is the dollar index, and you can see kind of actually, let's just do it this way. You can kind of see that the dollar, whoops, I don't want to go that low. The dollar is kind of sitting in this middle range. And if you look where we were last week, this is a 30-minute chart. I can bring it up to an hourly. It really doesn't change much of it. It just gives us a little bit more of a timeline. But you can see we took a very, very sharp turn last week on the 21st. We pushed up and we're rallying back down again. And the way that this looks, the way that it continues to push lower, and again, it is cleared up top. There's only one little hiccup before bringing us back down, and it's got about another 30 cents to drop. And you may say, well, what does that do for the overall markets? Typically, when you see this go down, when the dollar weakens in value, you tend to see gold go higher. You tend to see oil go a bit higher as well. And that's kind of what we're seeing right now with room to run. Looking at, I guess we can go look at oil. Oil has been really rallying up right now. It's got a red candle right now on the hourly. It did have a little bit of a pullback. You can see versus other days, this is a very, very small kind of European session, right? And again, Monday morning, no earth-shattering news or anything. A level we talked about last week was just 64.81, and you can see, it hit the top and it just pushed back down again. I don't actually have the risk to reward up here. I'm sure we're probably at the point of getting out right now anyway, if you're not already in. Yeah, there's your 1 to 3. So it's pretty much right down there. And again, we're switching into a new session. So, I would say right now, this is kind of, pushing down a little bit. I would say if we can get down to the 63.68, that could be another area where we've seen buyers kind of step in from a base. We've seen it in the past. It did this little Harry Potter bounce. And again, it's done it kind of twice right now. But I would say this would be a decent level. With the indices where they are, really no horrible news out there with anything. There's no reason why this can't start to climb a little bit. Again, more people are talking about recovery. This would be a great little buying opportunity. And again, very, very small, European session. You see what the blue boxes look like, and when this is what happens when we have those small ones, there tends to be a bigger US session. So it's kind of line it up for something today.
So, I just wanted to drop this off over on the Nadex platform. Let's move this, and I'm just looking at some binary options here, and we can see Friday. Oil had been in a bit of a free fall, and it did kind of catch its bottom. Finally, caught its bottom down below 62 someplace. It actually looks like it got even down to close to 61.50. 61.60. It did catch its bottom on Friday. It has climbed out of that hole. I just extended this level right here, which was a level we had from last week when we had done something, and that's that 63.90-ish level, 63.90. Right in there, 63.90 someplace. It resisted. But when it did punch through, I was just showing this to Brian. Literally, it did the Harry Potter earlier this morning, where it did punch through, it pulled back, and it took off, and it went right to that 64.80 level that we I just extended from last week. This is that little pullback that Brian's talking about that happened in the European session, where it did pull back some. So expect to see something moving in oil today. So oil is in play. And with a pullback here, this might be that opportunity. There might be a buying opportunity. You could play this with some of the binary options at some point. We'll see what happens when the retail trader comes online. We could take a look over at some of the call spreads and the knockouts, but for the sake of time, I want to keep moving along this morning. Let's take a look in here. I don't know if you wanted to do anything else there, or do you want to jump right into the ES?
We can go right to ES. That's fine.
All right, good.
Yep. So here's the ES last week, guys. We talked about it, and if you guys remember on Friday, we tried the education component in there. I left the 41.85 up there. If you remember when we were talking, we said that we had sellers coming in really around this level here at 41.79-ish. That it was a level that sellers had stepped in the past. We had a European session open that helped put that in there and helped confirm that level. And we mentioned that we had two different options on Friday. The 41.85 was not only a call spread, but it was also a knockout. This one survived. It ran 1 to 3. It went well past the 1 to 3, actually. So there would have been two different ways to take it. Had you taken it with the call spread and you waited till expiration, again, you were able to bank on this one approximately 70 something points on that. Sorry, not 70. About 25 points on the ES. It's a nice little move. So whether or not you took a call spread or an ES, if you took it in, again, demo or whatever it is, again, nice mover. We are approaching that level again, and I'll remove the 41.85 now. Just again, I wanted to follow up from where we were last week. Would I get short here again? I'd be a bit more cautious with it this time. Again, it's another hit. You can see 1, 2, and this is 3. It put it pretty deeply in that level. Typically what you do is you can erase the top of this and say, okay, well, there's only sellers left in that area, right? Because they should have the ability to go higher. But at this point, with the U.S. Open, no real bad news out there. Again, nothing has really changed on the interest rate format, especially if the dollar's getting cheaper. Again, you're seeing things like Japan having major problems. Again, unless they shut it down and block all exports, that means the Japanese currency will probably get weaker because they're still having issues with COVID, which makes it easier for us to purchase things, which again, purchasing more things is more profit, everything else. It's a big thing. But I would say right now, I really wouldn't be looking for sales until 41.96. And even then today, this may become a level. This original level was formed with a very fast drop, a base, and then another push down. Although it's a level for sellers, at this point where we are, we may be able to find the buyers in this old level to punch through. And again, if we start basing, I don't really see much of a reason why we couldn't, potentially come back and, come back, maybe even test the this 42.24-ish level, punch it higher. So I would say right now, with lack of any news or anything, again, see how we push in this level. Could there be a reversal if we can hit this at 10 o'clock, 10:30? Yeah, absolutely. Sure. That's a very common reversal time. This is a reversal style level. So if you want to be a little bit more aggressive, again, you could potentially play a call spread or a binary in that one. But if not, if we start to see basing through, there's the opportunity for the good old Harry Potter continuation up there to, hit up to 42.24.
Great. That's some great analysis for those looking to trade the ES. We got a couple minutes here. I thought we might just kind of toss up gold quickly. We've been talking about dollar weakness, dollar trying to make a comeback, the other story we can't avoid it. Is there is a battle going on right now. If you caught cryptocurrencies over the weekend, they got decimated only to climb out of the hole. The Bitcoin, I think, went from 38,000 down to close to 30,000, and it climbed its way back out. And it is rather interesting. Elon Musk tweeted, it really is. It's a battle between fiat currencies and cryptocurrencies. And right now, globally, the U.S. dollar is what's held in reserves. The U.S. dollar, and if you want to take down the United States, one way to do that would be destroy it financially, and the way to destroy it financially would be take out the dollar. And there is a battle going on right now between those who want to see cryptocurrencies and those who want to see the U.S. dollar get taken out as the hegemonic, as the reserve currency. And that would be rather interesting in a geopolitical play out. I'm not sure China would even want to allow that to happen. People do pay attention. Russia would probably love it. No one really trades the ruble. But it is rather interesting how these forces are in play around volatility in crypto. We're seeing the dollar struggling, but what we are seeing is gold. We're watching gold continue to step higher. It continues to incrementally get higher. These are we're seeing these levels. And if I'm just going to come in to the last couple days, we are seeing it approach recent highs up near 1890. We're not there yet. In fact, we're in some red bars, but it's something to be looking at because there has been some pretty significant volatility in gold as it moves around. Brian, I'm going to flip it over to you and let you take a little spin on some of that, because I know it's all connected. It is really all connected.
Yeah, and this is where it's stepping in. Remember, China recently has also put limits on crypto. They put some more and again, that's where it was that's where some of the crashes was coming from. This is an interesting article that I found talking about how basically Elon Musk has become Bitcoin's biggest influencer, like it or not. And it says a lot of things in here, and it's interesting. They just mentioned earlier this month that Tesla will no longer accept Bitcoin payments. This is the chart of Bitcoin and kind of where you've seen it. They add Bitcoin, bam, it goes up. It skyrockets up. Tesla's going to accept payments. It goes higher and higher. And all of a sudden, we're not going to accept it anymore. And it started bringing it all the way back down again. And at the same time, they're like, well, we're not going to, sell our crypto or anything. But at the same time, we know that, the profits, you guys can see it right here. The profits in Q1 were augmented by $272 million worth. And again, Tesla doesn't really make money, right? It's all like, oh, we did this and this and this, and magically they make money. And it's because they sold some of the Bitcoin they had. But at the same time, you have to understand that where did the rise and how did they make this money? It came from their founder talking about how we're going to accept it. So this, I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is market manipulation. It's a publicly traded company. He was able to enrich himself by making these things and manipulating the market. I'm absolutely 100% positive they are probably investigating him right now. It is what it is. It's out there. It's big. You can't deny it. But again, major firms are holding it. But here's the thing: you already have China ready to completely outlaw it. The United States has already has upped their stance and said, they're
going to start taxing it and tracking anything greater than 10,000.
They're going to close it down. They're going to shut it down. And the reason why people wanted to go to it was because it's safer, right? Well, we heard about the pipeline. You guys remember the pipeline on the East Coast that got hacked before? Well, there was an article last week that talked about how the United States government went in there, found their soft wallet, and took $5.8 million out of that, and they had to shut their website down. So it's not secure. People can go and steal your wallets as well. So it is what it is, guys. But all it takes is India's basically outlawed it. You can get jail time for it. China is on the process of banning it. The United States ban it. Guess what? Every one of the allied nations will ban it as well. And guess what? When you can no longer accept payments in crypto, what do you got? Nothing.
Yeah, you got nothing. It's going to be and
it'll be all digital. I mean, they're gonna all of them are turning digital. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. They will all be digital. The United States is going to have their first version out this summer. So all the talk about removing it's been great, but it's one of those things that the guys that pull the strings and make the rules are just not playing that game. So again,
everything's electronic. Interesting enough, everything's electronic now, right? People don't use cash, physical cash. You still see it, but everything's electronic. But the electronic versions aren't as efficient as the digital versions where you're using a blockchain technology, and that certainly just adds efficiency. So it's sort of a natural migration to go from electronic to digital using blockchain, and have the central government, the central banks, still being able to control their economies. It's going to be
and even I don't know if you saw it this morning or not. The founder of Ethereum basically commented back that basically saying, Elon's saying that Dogecoin is much better because of X this and Y this, and it's faster, it's cheaper, it's more environmentally friendly. That's the side that the people don't talk about, how bad Bitcoin is for the economy and for energy usage. It's horrible. Manufacturers are trying to go against cryptos now with their video cards and things like that, GPU. So it's kind of like everything is lining up against them. And when one founder is like, everything he's doing is completely wrong. It's devaluing everything that currency is. And again, Dogecoin is just not a great option out there. Again, Ethereum maybe not be. I mean, like I said, I follow the prices of it. I don't try to get into the politics and kind of the behind the scenes, because everybody's got a new thing over there. I like tried and true, and there's plenty of options that we can trade over here. I mean, there's plenty of markets. I'm not missing out on anything. And at the end of the day, I still pay for, with everything with US dollars. So for me, that's where I went back in my account.
And by the way, they can track these. They're going to go any transaction greater than $10,000.
Yep, that's a new thing, a new law as well.
They're going to report it, so you can't, so that it's going to try to track down on the money launderers, the
more and more regulations on something that has no regulations.
The munitions dealers. It's going to be rather interesting. Anyhow, that does have an impact. That's why I wanted to mention dollar and gold are impacted by that, because the battle is, can a digital currency displace the US dollar as the reserve standard, or gold as the backup? And
remember, sellers like crypto people like silver, not gold.
And that's even funnier. Okay.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Gold right now is down actually 0.06%. Silver is up 0.54%. So remember, silver.
As they come out, they'll go to silver.
GameStop, silver, Bitcoin, Dogecoin. These are all the Reddit. We have the FANG stocks. They got to come out with the Reddit basket, and again, that's where they go to. They're going to go towards silver, because silver's, it's got to be at 100 by the end of the year, is what everybody said, right?
So fun times.
Exactly, right.
So whole point of this, we've got oil moving, we've got the equities moving. Brian did some great analysis on the S&P 500, and gold and the dollar. You got to pay attention to it as cryptocurrency moves around, and silver. There's opportunities in the markets. It's all connected. Any questions for Nadex? Please email us customerservice@nadex.com. Brian is also accessible. If we said anything outlandish today and you want to chat with him
My
about
bad.
it,
My bad.
you're fine. You can email him at support@keeptradingsimple.com. With that, we're going to let everyone get ready for the U.S. equity markets to open here in 25 minutes. Brian and I will be back tomorrow morning. We want to wish everyone good luck in the markets.